Hey there! So today we're going to go ahead and talk about the important subject about happiness in the second episode of the School of Life. Now, if you're joining me for the first time, my name is Jaime.Sandoval. I'm an educator. I've been an educator for 14 years. And just to be clear, this is independent from my teaching role as an educator, as a teacher. Now, during this time, I've come to find out that a lot of times there's things that are important for you to learn, but are not really fit inside our school system for you to actually take the benefit to learn. So the first thing I want to talk about is this quote that Abraham Lincoln said that folks are usually about as happy as they make up their minds to be. Now, one of the things I love is that I like to take this quote and examine it with you using the 5 elements of circumstance, the who, what, where, when, and why, and also Venn diagrams, because then you could go ahead and measure yourself in relation to see how close are you to happiness. Who is it that you're talking about? And let's start with the who. Now, most of the time when you think about who is happy, all these things come to mind. You first think about your family, the people that you most love. You think about yourself and you think in relations. Am I happy? And you start thinking about, is this quote true? And when you really think about it, it is true. For the most part, you decide to make yourself as happy as you decide to be. Now, a lot of times I see this with my students. I find out that there's students that come in the day thinking, you know what, today's going to be a great day. And they show that greatness. And other times I have other students that come in and they're actually bored. And what do you see? You see the side of boredom written all over their faces. Really nothing to look forward to. Why? Because that's what they decided to be. So here comes our second thing. What are people normally happy about? Now, this is a very straightforward question. And the reason why is because most of the time, you wake up in neutral. When you wake up in the morning, you're neither happy nor sad. You're just in this neutral type of position. And this is when you have to take the time to decide to be happy. And I have to tell my students, since they decide to be happy, they need to decide that if they get some kind of bad message, that means when they wake up in the morning, they look at their phone, they get some kind of bad text, some kind of bad news, normally it comes through the phone, they need to say, you know what, this is not going to let me affect me, and continue to do great and continue to do well. Now, when are people normally happy? Well, this is when I go ahead and I say in an instant, it relates to directly how much self-control you have. And you need to master that every day when you wake up, you need to put it in your forefront, your vision, and say, you know what, I'm going to be happy today. And I'm not going to let things affect me. Because you're going to realize, just like when I was talking about this neutral position, when you wake up, there's going to be things that are going to be thrown at you. So when you decide to be happy is one of these things that you need to always keep right in front of you, in the forefront, because as I tell my students, you need to keep happiness right in front of you. Don't let things just jot you off course. You be like a big, now think about life kind of like ships. There's some small ships, they get tossed by the waves, and you find out these waves kind of move the ship forward, back and forth. Or you have these big cruise ship liners that it seems like nothing moves them. That's what you got to be. You got to be able to resist and know that you're going to have a straightforward path and always keep on going forward. Now, where are people normally happy? Well, the best place to start is in the morning. That means that when you wake up in the morning, go ahead and say, you know what? Today I'm going to be happy. The quote that Abraham Lincoln is true. I am going to be the master of my own destiny and be happy. And one thing that I tell my students that's very important is that you should always be grateful. And especially in the morning, when you wake up, just be grateful you woke up that morning. Be grateful through your day. Be grateful anytime you think about it. Because what gratefulness does, it starts really lending to yourself all the stuff you do have, and it kind of hits like a reset button for yourself. So next time, just keep on thinking about where is it that you're grateful and continue being grateful throughout the day. Now, why is it that folks are normally happy as they decide to make up their mind? Well, it comes to reason that we all make choices in life. And sometimes this is why it's so important for us to go ahead and influence others in happiness. And it starts with you. See, the thing is that for the most part, when you wake up in the morning and you decide to be happy, then you go through your day really sharing this happiness with others. Now, what happens most of the time? Unfortunately, most people, when they wake up, they don't decide if they're going to be happy or not. So when they go through their day, they find out that somebody frowns at them, screams at them, does something, kind of throws garbage at them, and all of a sudden they take that same garbage and throw it back. And they're no longer happy. Why? Because they just became a reflection of what the other person did. This is why it's so important when you wake up in the morning for you to decide to be happy. Because what you're going to do is instead, if you have your minds focused on that, if somebody does throw garbage at you and say, you know what, you're able to identify it as garbage, throw it off to the side and say, you know what, that is not going to go ahead and affect me. I'm not going to give that person the benefit of making me unhappy because of something they did. Instead, if you go ahead and share happiness, you realize that people are going to leave happier than when you met them. And this is done in many ways. Simple test. Go ahead and smile at somebody. And what you're going to come to discover is that they smile back at you. Why? Because they reflect what you give to them. The same thing with happiness. When somebody comes to you, try to give them more happiness. When they leave you, they're happier than when they first met you. And you come to find out that they, in return, are going to do that back with you. So really, a lot of our outside world is really a reflection of what we are inside. So it's very important that you go ahead and share this. You know, there's a lot of times in school that you're going to get homework, you're going to get some kind of test or quiz. Hey, be grateful you got those things. Look at the happiness that you're going to be able to do, because in it, there is power that you're able to share with others. So you see your classmate to the side, he doesn't seem so happy because all of a sudden you got hit with some kind of pop quiz. Don't worry about it. Go in and share that happiness to them, and you find out that they will start becoming a little bit lighter. You know, they may smile, you may do a joke, laughter, humor, and you'll find out that they become happier as they do this. Now, how is it that you could go ahead and help people be happier? You know, how is it that folks are normally happier, you know, as Abraham Lincoln, that they decided their mind to be? Well, this question almost seems like those questions that, you know, who is it that doesn't want to be happy? I can't think about one person in 100 who is not searching for happiness. I think everybody looks for happiness. I think the issue falls into the fact that most people, when they wake up in the morning, sometimes they're not in sync. You know, we got to realize, even though we wake up in this neutral position, we discover as we go through our day that, you know, we have this mind and body, this contract, and also our situation, our environment that surrounds us. And a lot of times what I like to do is I like to refer to a bike. Why? Because it's so relatable. You find out that, you know, with the bike, sometimes you jump on the pedals, they're kind of hard to move. And that's kind of like you. Sometimes when you jump on, you know, you're going to start your day, it's kind of hard to move. And you have to kind of realize why. Or you go through the day, you find out that, you know, things are happening. And this is where it's important to keep in mind that just a bike has the reason why sometimes it's hard to move the pedals, it really could be related to three things. It could be that your, you know, bike has front gears, it has back gears. And sometimes you got to realize that, think about the front gears as your mind, the back gears as your body, and the environment being like the road. And a lot of times when you jump on there and you find out it's hard, sometimes it's your mind it's not in sync. Your body might be in great shape, but you find out that your mind is just not feeling it. That's when you got to go ahead and just keep on going forward. And eventually, as you get momentum through the day, you go ahead and are able to shift those front gears and get them to an easy way where they're all shipping the sequence and you're moving fluidly. Sometimes it's not your mind. Sometimes it's like the back gears, it's your body. Your body may be in a difficult position. That's when you still need to jump on the pedals, keep on going forward, you know, and use your momentum to know that eventually you're going to shift the gears and be everything in happiness, everything in sequence, because you're able to move these gears and then move in fluid motion. Sometimes you find out it's the environment you're in that's making it difficult. You know, it's difficult to pedal uphill. So this is where it's important and where you need to take the time to go ahead and sometimes either change the environment or change your direction. You know, sometimes when you're going uphill, you find out that cyclists will go over to the side, kind of like this little zigzag diagonal position. And the reason being is because since they travel over long distance, it's easier. Sometimes you got to do this in your life. Sometimes you got to be able just to either do some kind of different direction, change your environment a little bit. Sometimes you just got to go in a different direction altogether. Or sometimes you got to just take your bike, hop in a car, go somewhere else, different environment, but make sure that you do these things because the most important thing is to move in a fluid motion. Now, there's been a lot of people that have asked me how they could support me. Go ahead and put a like, share this video, and thank you for listening. Bye, everybody.